Assalamualaikum, welcome to our next episode of Maths Nova, Math Mikat Hati Anda. For today's episode is entitled Permutation and Combination. Before we start, let me introduce to our group members.
For the introduction of this topic, it will be presented by Nur Masyithah Halwani. Mohamad Nor Adli will present case 1, while Aidil Asyraf will present case 2 and case 3 in permutation. Combined case question, which is the case 4 in permutation, will be presented by Mohamad Haziq. And lastly, Nurfaiqah will present about combination. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Masyithah Halwani, binti Johari. I will present the introduction of permutation and combination. Before we learn about permutation and combination, we should be familiar with basic terms in probability. So, let us look at some basic terms in probability. The first term is experiment. Experiment is any process of observation or measurement that generates data or results. The second term is outcomes, which means the results of an experiment. The third term is the sample space, means the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment and is denoted by S. The last term is event. Event is a collection of one or more of the outcomes of an experiment. For example, when we toss a dice, we will get number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So, tossing a dice is an experiment. Next, the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 are the outcomes. And if we put all of the outcomes like this, we will get the sample space represented by S. Next, we could define an event A to be an event on getting even numbers. So, the outcomes for A is 2, 4, and 6. Okay, let's move on to the next term. The process of determining number of outcomes is called counting. For simple experiment like tossing a dice, the number of outcomes is easy to be determined. But for more complicated experiment, determining the number of outcomes could be difficult. So, the easiest way to determine the number of outcomes is by using counting rules. There are two important counting rules, namely multiplication rule and addition rule. We define action A is M outcomes and action B is N outcomes. In multiplication rule, if A and B must be performed together, then the number of outcomes altogether is M times N. While in addition rule, if A and B cannot be performed together, which is only to either A or B, then the number of outcomes together is M plus N. For example, suppose that a dice is tossed and after that a coin is flipped. Write the sample space. First, we draw 3 diagrams to make it easier for us to answer the question. Next, we list all the sample space. And lastly, the number of outcomes is 6 times with 2. 6 is the outcomes for tossing a dice, while 2 is the outcomes for flipping the coin. And the final answer is 12 number of outcomes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Nor bin Azrenkefly, and now I will explain about permutation. First of all, we need to know what is the definition of permutation. Permutation is a method used to determine number of ways to arrange items. And under permutation, we have a few cases. I will explain one of the cases and the other cases will be explained by my friends. So, the cases that I will explain is arranging our items taken from n items, and from these cases it have two other cases, which is taking with replacements and taking without replacements. Taking with replacements, we can understand that there will be a replacements. For example, if we take another letter or words and it is exact opposite from the taking without replacement, it means that there will be no replacement if we take a words or a letter, for example. For taking with replacements, we will use n the power of r to solve the problem, and for taking without replacements, we will use npr to solve the problem. Let's jump into the example for more understanding. For taking with replacements, the question is, determine number of ways to arrange 4 letters from word courage if each letter can be used more than once. From the question, we can identify that this question is for the cases that taking with replacements, because the keyword is each letter can be used more than once. And for the formula, we will use n the power of r. We must find the value of n and the value of r, and from the question we can identify the value of n, which is the letters, which is 7 letters, C O U R A G E. So the value of n is 7, and the value of r is the question asks us to arrange 4 letters from 7 letters. So the value of r is 4. So we substitute it into the formula and the power of r. So 7 the power of 4, we get the answer is 2401 ways. Let's look another example for another cases, which is taking without any replacement. The question is quite similar with the question before, but it is the exact opposite, which is this question asks us to determine number of ways to arrange 4 letters from word courage if each letter cannot be used more than once. So from this question, we can identify that this question is for the cases taken without replacements, because the keywords here is each letter cannot be used more than once. So same like before, we must find the value of n and the value of r. So we can identify that the value of n is 7 because we have 7 letters, and the value of r is 4 because the question asks us to arrange 4 letters from 7 words. So we substitute it into the formula 7 for the formula npr, which is we substitute the value of n and r, so we get 7 before. So the answer that we get is 840 ways. That's all from me. From the permutation, my friend will explain the other cases for permutation. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aidil Asyraf bin Abu Hassan. My student ID is 2022736-725, and I will explain for permutation of multisets. Permutation of multisets can happen when arranging objects among n objects are different, and the number of permutation will be given as n factorial. Permutation of multisets also happens to arrange objects among n where objects are similar. Thus, the permutation is given as n factorial divided with n1 factorial times n2 factorial and so on, and where n1 and n2 are the total of n objects that are similar. So, to understand more detail, I will explain about arranging all n items where all items are different. The given example is to determine the number of ways to arrange the letter in the word brave. So, for the solution, the 5-letter brave will be n, which is equal to 5. And to find the number of permutation for the different n, it will be given as n factorial, which is 5 factorial, and we will get the answer is 122 ways to arrange the letters. Next, let's look at the how to arrange all n items where some of the items are same. For the given example, determine number of ways to arrange the letter in the word perseverance. So for the solution, just like the previous example, 12 letter of perseverance will be N, which is N equals to 12. And as we know, there are few letters in the word perseverance are same, which are the letter E is 4 and the letter R is 2. So the letter of E and R will be N1 and N2. And the number of permutation is given as N factorial divided with N1 factorial times N2 factorial. So the number of permutation will be 12 factorial divided with 4 factorial times 2 factorial, and we will get the number of ways to arrange the letter is 9,972,200 ways to arrange the letters. So that's all from me. Thank you, and let's move on to the next presenter.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So my friend have been explained to you about the permutation. So how about if we answer one or two questions about this permutation, so you will be more understand about this permutation. So let's go to our first question. So question 1, number of permutation of 4 words A, B, C and D taken at a time. So imagine if at my hands here have 4 cards. So imagine if this A, this B, this C and this D. So I will ask my friend, like example Ali, I will ask Ali to take 2 random cards from my hand. So I just shuffle and shuffle these different words A, B, C and D. So I will ask Ali to take 2 cards randomly from my hand. So what is the possible that the word that Ali we will take from my hands? So it will be AB, it will be BA, it will be CB, or it will be DC. So have many permutation at that. So how about we just list the permutation that will be possibility that Ali will take. So the first one Ali will take maybe AB, maybe AC, AD, BA, BC, BD, CA, CB, CD, DA, DB and DC. So overall we have 12 different permutation, but this is mathematics, so we need to have a calculation. So how we want to calculate this permutation, how we want to write the calculation about this permutation. So if you want to find permutation, you need to use the formula of NPR equal to n factorial divided by n minus r factorial. So we have 4 different words here, and Ali will take 2 at a time. So we have n as a 4 and r as a 2. So we just write 4p2 equal to 4 factorial because n is 4, and 4 minus 2 factorial because n minus r and r is 2. So 4 minus 2 factorial equal to 2 factorial. So 4 factorial divided by 2 factorial. So what is actually 4 factorial? 4 factorial is 4 times with the number that goes to 1. So like example, we have 4 factorial. So 4 will times with 3, times with 2 and times with 1. So for 2 factorial, 2 times with 1. So so we just write 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divide by 2 times 1. So we can just cut 2 times 1 with 2 times 1. So we just have 4 times 3. 4 times 3 equal to 12. So the answer is same like we do before if we list the permutation that the possibility of Ali we get the card or we get the word randomly for A, B, C and D. So the answer is same. So that's how you can find the permutation. So let's go to our next question. So question 2. How many ways can we arrange 5 books on a shelf? So this question is a little bit tricky because he don't tell us about how many book we want to take from 5. No, it just said how many ways we can arrange 5 books on a shelf. So imagine we have 5 books. We have 5 books. So we have a place that we want to place the book. So we have 5 places here and 5 different books. So imagine the first place here, we have 5 books. So we have 5 different places. So the first place we can place 5 different books. Any of this book we can place at here. So we have 5 probability to put at the first place. So imagine we just take randomly and put at this place. So the next one is the second place. We only have 4 books because the one book we have put at the first place. So we have another 4 books to put at the second place. So we put randomly book at the second place. We have 4 different books that will be in the 4 place. So we just took one. And now the next place we only have 3 books because the 2 books we have to at the first place and second place. So these 3 books, any of these 3 books can be at the third place. So we just took one and put it here. So next, the second last place, we have 2 books left. So any of these 2 books can place at the second last book. So imagine I just place this book. Okay. So the last place we only have 1 book. So we just have 1 probability that only this book can be here. So we just place. So if you look at the slide, I have been write what I said before. So we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we just times all of them. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equal to 120. So that's how we want to find the permutation. But that is the logically thinking of this permutation. So how we want to find the calculation, how we want to write the calculation. So like I said before, if you want to find permutation, you need to use NPR. NPR is equal to N factorial divided by N minus R factorial. Okay, so we have 5 books and we take 5 books. So it will be 5B5. And so it equal to 5 factorial divide by 5 minus 5 factorial. So but 5 minus 5 is equal to 0. If something divide by 0, it's math error. So how you want to do this? So actually 0 factorial is equal to 1. You cannot ask me why 0 factorial is equal to 1, but that is the formula. 0 factorial is equal to 1. So we can write as 5 factorial divided by 1. So 5 factorial, that like I said before, is time with the number that goes to 1. So 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divided by 1, so equal to 120. So the answer is same like I said before. So that's all for me. I hope you will be learn more in our video about this permutation. So let's go about the combination. Thank you.
Now we will learn about combination. Combination is a method used to determine number of ways to select items. Numbers of ways to select R items from N items is given by NCR. Let's look at an example. There are 20 students in English club. A teacher wants to select 3 students to represent the school in a debate competition. Determine number of ways to make the selection. Here, we need to note that the teacher just wants to select 3 students, which means that the order of the student is not important. Since the order of the student is not important, so this is a combination problem. If the order is important, then that's permutation. Now, let's go to the solution. To solve the problem, we need to know the total of students, which represent as N, and the students want to select that represent as R. Now, substitute the value into formula, which is number of ways is 20C3. After we calculate on calculator, we will get the answer is 1140. Let's look for another example. 3 cards to be selected from a box that contains 15 cards. 6 of the cards are white and 9 black. Find the number of ways to make the selection if among the 3 cards B, A, at least 2 white cards, and B, no white cards. To answer this question, first you need to put a table like this and separate card with white and black. There are 6 white and 9 black, so N is equal to 50. We only want to select 3 cards, so R is equal to 3. Now let's look at the first question A. Among the cards we want to select, it must be at least 2 white cards. It means that we only can select 2 or 3 white cards. If there are 2 white cards, it will be only 1 black card, and if there are 3 white cards, it will be 0 black cards. So, number of ways to select 2 white cards from 6 cards is 6C2, and number of ways to select 1 black card from 9 black cards is 9C1. Number of ways to select 3 white cards is 6C3, and number of ways to select 0 black card is 9C0. So, number of ways to find 3 cards, at least 2 white cards is 6C2 times 9C1 plus 6C3 times 9C0, and the answer we get is 155. Now, let's look at question B. It's saying that among the 3 cards that we want to select, it must be no white cards. Since it says no white card, that means we only can choose black cards. So the number of ways for no white card is 9C3. Then we get the answer 84.